Hello everybody, Paladin here again. In this video I want to talk a bit more about the length of the tracks in Circuit Superstars. However, this time I want to compare the tracks in the game more or less with the real world tracks. Also I want to discuss some future projects of mine concerning videos, research and so on. As always, the music in this video is made by Speedworld. Be sure to check them out, links to their social media sites in the description. And again, huge thanks to Whiteman for providing his pedal insight to all of us. Without his pictures it would be way harder to do these kind of videos. The high quality gameplay you see in the background is from me from some days ago. This is purely for your entertainment, just ignore the many mistakes I made during driving. Or laugh at them, I don't care honestly. Now, after the last videos, with all the lengths of the track known, we can ask ourselves how this translates to the real world. Let's take my favorite track Sanford for example. In my last video I showed that this track is around 854 meters long. This track is based on an older layout of the Sanford Grand Prix track, which you should see by now on the screen. This layout is 4193 meters long, and if we divide this by the number of 854 meters that Sanford is long, it comes down to a factor of 4.91. This means that Sanford in the game is approximately 4.91 times smaller than its real-life counterpart. Let's now take a look at the 1967 Netherlands Grand Prix in Sanford. Here the great Graham Hill took pole position with a 1 minute and 24.6 seconds lap time. Why did I take this particular race? Well, first of all, it was the debut of one of the greatest race cars of all time, the Ford Cosworth powered Lotus 49. The first car in F1 to successfully run the Cosworth EF3 engine. And secondly, this car, with a V8 in its back, fits the model of the 60s GP Osprey in the game very well. By the way, there is a great video of the launch of this car and race on the Ford Heritage channel, link in the video description. If we take Prix's quali lap from the gameplay in the background, we can compare the two times. Prix's lap was a 28.3 and Graham Hill's was a 1 minute 24.6. This shows that Prix's time is essentially 3 times faster on a track 5 times smaller. We could go on and compare the average speeds over the quali laps, but this would not yield any substantial new results. All of this shows that we can't compare real life results easily to the game. This is nothing bad, I just wanted to point it out. The same arguments can be made for Faenza and the Imola track. By the way, Faenza is the neighboring town of Imola, and in Faenza the headquarters of the AlphaTauri Formula 1 team is located. AlphaTauri was formerly known as Toro Rosso, and before even that as Minardi. This makes Faenza the unofficial home of our good friend Minardi. So if you want to compete for a seat in the Minardi Young Driver Academy, make sure to deliver good performances when you are around Faenza. The layout of the Imola circuit, which comes closest to the one in the game, is once again an older layout. To be specific, the original 1953 to 1972 layout. This layout was 5018 meters long. Sadly, I couldn't find a lap time that was driven with a car comparable to a car in the game, so we have to stick with a focus on the track length for this one. I measured Faenza with 856 meters. Compared to the length of Imola, it comes down to a factor of 5.86. So here we can see that the shrinking factor, let's call it that way, isn't applied equally to all tracks. This is also fine for me, again just trying to point things out. The interesting thing with these tracks is that an F1 race today has a total set length of around 300 kilometers. For the 1967 race in Sanford, for example, the total distance was around 377 kilometers. So if we want to apply this ruling to Circuit Superstars, we end up with two options. On the one hand, we could take the 377 kilometers and divide them simply by the 854 meters that Brantford is long, and end up with 442 laps to go. Or we can take our shrinking factor of 4.91 into consideration and end up with the 90 laps that the original race used. These 90 laps would mean a total distance traveled of around 77 kilometers in the game. This brings it down to using the original intended length of the race or the original intended amount of laps. On the note of distance traveled in the game, there are 4 different Steam achievements at the moment. 2015 kilometers, 5000 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers and 50,000 kilometers. If you are new to the game, the first thing you would try is the Grand Prix mode. At least this is what I did when I first played Circuit Superstars. Although it was called Arcade back in May when I started playing. So let's try a simple calculation on what distance traveled we could end up after racing every Grand Prix race once. Little disclaimer here, I will use my racing line numbers for this one. As shown in my previous video, this can vary from car to car. Also, I will ignore pit stops and quali laps. This is just a stupid example that I am keen on calculating. At first, I started with writing down all of the different Grand Prix tracks with amount of laps and different layouts. Then I counted together the laps for all the tracks and layouts and ended up with this table. Together with my measured racing line, we can multiply these with the laps per race and end up with a rough distance traveled per race, and with this for all the races. The distance traveled in the Grand Prix mode comes roughly down to 251 kilometers. This means you have to race through the Grand Prix 8 times at least to get the 2015 kilometers distance achievement. As I said, this is not a real number. I think with pit stops and qualies here and there, the distance would be a little higher, but still this shows that you have to race a lot to get this achievement. Let's make another stupid assumption. How much time would you need if you only drove Tilgsport full without any tire wear or fuel consumption or damage? Essentially just perfectly hot lapping with the Storm around the longest road course with the fastest car. My fastest lap around Tilgsport with the Storm is, as shown, 33.25 seconds. To get to 10,000 kilometers with only using this method, I would need 317,967 seconds, or 3 days, 16 hours, 19 minutes and 27 seconds. If I calculated correctly at least. Reaching the 50,000 kilometers this way would mean around 18 days and 6 hours of driving only Tilgsport, perfectly lapping it all the time with my set lap. Okay, enough senseless calculating for now, because I wanted to talk about a few other things while I have you guys here. My next big research in the game will be about tire wear in Circuit Superstars. There are already some things known about it, but I want to make a video or two that contains all the information about it. But there are a few other side projects that I wanted to talk about. One of my ideas was about taking the fastest lap times from the Superstar AI for every track and car and using them as a measurement of player pace. With this you would be able to say, for example, I'm 10% above Superstars level on Sugar Hill with GT. This would open up a better way of communicating player skill around all of us. But let me know if you like this one. At the moment I am thinking about opening a Discord server where we can all come together and research on subjects related to the game. My planned name for this server would be something like Stefan Belov Institute for Racing Engineering. Mainly because I think Belov was a great driver who died far too early in his career, and he is someone who is not remembered much in Germany. So I would like to change this. I'm not 100% sure on the name, so give me your suggestions in the comments. On this Discord we could form different groups with different objectives, and when a project is finished we could publish a video on the subject. either on my channel or on a different channel dedicated to the Discord server. My role in this would be something like a head of institute, but as I said, this is just an idea, so let me know how you like this one. Second project I want to do is something of an interview show. I had this idea a few days ago when I rewatched the Invitational tournament. On day 2, me and Per did the part where we invited, or not invited, yes we invited them, but we interviewed 3 of the drivers. I want to do this in a similar way with things like challenges in between. For example, drive this track backwards or have a little demolition derby. Or park your car between 2 others or something like this. This would be a great way for the viewer to get to know streamers, developers or community mods. Alright, this is all for today. Hope you folks have a great weekend. Be sure to check the Discord server from Circuit Superstars. You can always DM me if you like, but please don't spam too much. Let me know what you think of my ideas and let me know if I miscalculated something. Alright, see you later. Like, comment and subscribe.